All right, we are recording for the first section, part, not sure how to put it, of Chapter 5, the announcement in The Princess Bride. And despite it only being like 20 pages or something, I don't remember how much. Despite it only being part, I think I have the most notes on it. Some of that is because a fair portion of it is similar to the movie. So just to clarify, it is from her introduction as the bride to be. Excuse me. Which is that? Okay, it has been 3 years. She's now 21. In 3 months is the 500th anniversary. That's when the wedding is supposed to be. But anyway, from her being revealed to the people to then the man in black is still climbing up the cliff to get to Inigo for that duel. That is what thus far I've covered. If you have the same copy of the book, it is halfway on page 110 that I've stopped because that's where we get Inigo here. So we're going to be getting backstory on him. I saw a little bit forward and I saw his father's name mentioned. So yes, backstory. I definitely liked it. Have liked it so far. Some of the notes I was saying, or starting to say, are because of similarities to the movie, and also some differences. For example, we do not have the shrieking eels. It is just sharks, which makes sense for a couple reasons. One, shrieking eels is that's a more visceral kind of thing because you can play the sound there and make it more tense. It is something more fantasy as well that's happening. The other is how Vizzini threatens her as well. But I want to go back a bit. So her presentation to the people is different from in the movie, slightly. Humperdinck is first at the balcony, and she joins him there. It is only after the introduction that she's like, I want to go down and see them. And he's like, shouldn't do that. It's not right for us to be with the commoners. And she's like, well, I've known many in my life. Not even that she was once one, but she knows many. So she decides, nope, going down there. And I do think that this is a little important, at least, for the concept of, for continuing the concept of his vanity. Because this is a bit more direct. Whereas before, when it was like, I won't have a bald wife, it's like, that's not as clear. And then, I won't have a bald wife, it's not as clear that that's vanity. I mean, somewhat, yes. Very likely, but it's not as severe. It's like, well, there are plenty of men that would agree with that. Sorry, just kind of how it is. But then his obsession with no, my wife must be beautiful. It's like, well, that could still have been his negative reaction to the bald Princess of Gilder. But now it's like you'd think he could relax back into it doesn't matter. I just need a son. So does it really matter that Buttercup goes down there or not? It's like, no, I don't want you to, but she goes anyway. And it does say there that the three kidnappers who Fezzik and Inigo are named within this portion. For a lot of it, though, they are just referred to as the Sicilian. Vizzini's name hasn't been mentioned yet. The Spaniard, Inigo, and the Turk. So apparently Fezzik is supposed to be Turkish. Okay. They are described as being there. And how she doesn't know that death is so close. Obviously, they're not actually going to kill her, but still. But also, and this is actually, I kind of wish we did have something in the movie for this, because it's not necessarily something you think about, at least as a kid. How does Wesley know to follow them? We don't really know. He's just suddenly there in the water. Whereas in this, no, he's actually in a tall building looking out and sees her come out into the crowd. So he is keeping tabs on her, at this point at least. And so it's reasonable he has followed her, has witnessed the kidnapping, and so then somehow got a boat, or maybe he had a boat already nearby, got on that and is chasing after. It makes sense that he probably had a boat nearby because it does have black sails on there, which he's a man in black, he's dressed all in black. It would make sense that it's his, and not just a coincidence that he happens to match. Anyway, Vizzini is described as being a humpback. I put him in my notes as hunchback. maybe there's a difference. I'm not sure, but also that he has one leg shorter than the other. Despite that, he moves very quickly, and he's actually the one, not Fezzik, because in the movie you see Andre just like grab her at the back of the neck, and she goes ah like that, and then that's it. In this, instead, it's Vizzini leaps up at her and manages to grab her in just the right places on the neck to cause her to go unconscious immediately. Next, she knows she's underneath a blanket on the boat, hearing the lapping of water. And she, at first, was going to say something, but stops so that she can just hear them talking. And it disappointed me initially, because Fezzik was like, why don't we just kill her now? This does get explained. It's not that he is interested in killing her. He just doesn't know the whole of the plan. Vizzini explains it to him that no, she needs to die on the Gilder border. Or at least that's where her body needs to be found, and it's just going to be easiest if she's still alive. Sometimes that's easier than dead weight. He didn't know that, but afterwards he actually is somewhat protective of her. Well, he is kind to her. I shouldn't necessarily say protective. But although there are some things that he does that are kind of protective. Okay, that's right. He does, before he knows that she's awake, but now he knows what the plan is, he does point out it would upset her if she knew the plan was to kill her, so why don't we just tell her that we're kidnapping her? So he does basically, now that he knows we're not killing her right away, he is now trying to be kind to her. And I don't remember exactly when it was, maybe right after that. It wasn't too long after. Vizzini's like, well, she's awake, she knows the plan. And she's like, I've not moved, how does he know? And he's just like, they also ask him, how do you know? It's like, Sicilian senses. I know everything. And she's just thinking, well, he's conceited. And he goes, yes, I am conceited. And she's like, okay, he can read minds too. After a little bit, they knock her out again. When next she wakes up, she leaps into the water. So, again, a little different from the movie. But leaps out into shark-infested waters. Now, she's apparently not bound. And so is trying to swim away. They stop and try to turn back. Now it is night, so they can't see her. And basically, once she just stops and is only treading water, excuse me, they can't find her. So Vizzini starts encouraging her to identify her location. No, a bit early. And actually, I do want to read some of this. Princess, do you know what happens to sharks when they smell blood in the water? They go mad. There's no controlling their wildness. They rip and shred and chew and devour. And I am in a boat, Princess, and there isn't any blood in the water now. So we're both quite safe. But there is a knife in my hand, my lady, and if you don't come back, I'll cut my arms and I'll cut my legs, and I'll catch the blood in a cup, and I'll fling it as far as I can, and sharks can smell blood in the water for miles, and you won't be beautiful for long. That's a bit more intense. And I can definitely understand not doing that in a movie. I mean, just that is a lot more intense. So the shrieking eels, again, going to that again makes some sense. There's also one other thing, and this is just a separate thing. It's like, okay, the whole sharks can smell blood in the water for miles. That's fine. It still takes time for that the actual molecules that they would be that their noses would be picking up. It would take a while for it to reach them. So it's not like you put in that, they know immediately. I don't think it disperses that quickly. Anyway, she hesitated, still treading water. And she started to think, at least she was hearing the swishing of tails. Come back, and come back now. There will be no other warning. Buttercup thought, if I come back, they'll kill me anyway. So what's the difference? The difference is, there he goes again, that thought Buttercup. He really is a mind reader. If you come back now, I give you my word as a gentleman and assassin that he will die totally without pain. I assure you, you won't get no such promise from the sharks. Now it does go on for a little bit more. We're having this Sicilian winced out loud. He just cut his arm, lady, the Turk, Fezzik, called out. He's catching the blood in a cup now. There must be a half inch of blood on the bottom. Winced again. He cut his leg this time, the Turk went on. The cup's getting full. I don't believe them, Buttercup thought. There are no sharks in the water, and there's no blood in his cup. My arm is back to throw, the Sicilian said. Call out your location or not, the choice is yours. I'm not making a peep, Buttercup decided. Farewell, from the Sicilian. There was the splashing sound of liquid landing on liquid. Then there came a pause. Then the sharks went mad. She's not getting eaten by the sharks at this time, my father said. I looked at him. What? You looked like you were getting too involved and bothered, so I thought I would relax. I would let you relax. Yes, this is actually in the book, okay? I mean, it's right here, right? That's why it goes, that's why you get the is it Dinkus? Yes, that's why you get the Dinkus announced italicized text. Yes, you do still have this in here. It is not just something they threw into the movie. Oh, for Pete's sake, I said, you think I was a baby or something. What kind of stuff is that? I really sounded put out, but I'll tell you the truth, I was getting a little too involved. And it goes on a little bit more, but yeah, so that is in fact in here. We also do get the, constant inconceivable sentence. I don't think that means what you think it means. We do get that at a different time, but we do get that. We don't get the Fezzik rhyming stuff. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hang on. I actually went past it. Okay, so after she jumps in, go in, from the Sicilian. I only dog paddle from the Turk. You're better than I am from the Spanish. So the I only dog paddle is actually in the book as well. And I do like that. Because it is just neat. Because even though something... I'm okay with adapting to a movie and making some changes there, especially when it is still a good line. But to see, nope, it is consistently good in both. I do like that. Okay, I know there's more I want to talk about around here. Okay, so she refuses to scream. This is important for a couple reasons. Fortunately for all concerned, save the sharks, it was around this time that the moon came out. So now they're able to see her on the water, do make it over. Fezzik grabs her, pulls her out. Doesn't punch an eel or punch a shark, no, just pulls her out. And now this is also important. So Fezzik does that. Inigo does throw his cloak to Fezzik to wrap her in, to let her dry off, warm up, all that. Keep her warm, he even says. Don't catch cold, the Turk said. It doesn't seem to matter all that much, seeing you'll kill me at dawn. He'll do the actual work, the Turk, Fezzik said, indicating the Sicilian, who was wrapping cloth around his cuts. We'll just hold you. Hold your stupid tongue, the Sicilian commanded. The Turk immediately hushed. I don't think he's so stupid, Buttercup said, and I don't think you're so smart either, with all your throwing blood in the water. That's not what I call grade A thinking. It worked, didn't it? You're back, aren't you? The Sicilian crossed towards her. Once women are sufficiently frightened, they scream. But I didn't scream. The moon came out, answered Buttercup somewhat triumphantly. The Sicilian struck her. So, and it goes on a little bit where Fezzik basically says, don't do that again. If you want to force is my thing, like, so he's not being too, he is being assertive, but still in a somewhat passive way. Where it's like, don't do that. Force is my thing. You're the mastermind here. If there's going to be force done, you have me do it. If you want to use force, use it on me. I don't care. So he is being very protective of her. Even though the plan is to kill. He is being protective of her. Inigo, being protective of her. Vizzini, not at all. So, and part of the reason I want to point this out is, of the three of them, we do know from the movie, it's only Vizzini that dies. So, and he is, like, in the movie, he's the one who's genuinely the worst of them, of the three. And in the book, we're also getting that. Okay? And also, I do like the whole, how even she is pointing out Fezzik isn't that bad. But there's also, why did he actually strike her? Because she called out that it didn't go the way you planned. She would have screamed, he said after he walked away. She was about to cry out. My plan was ideal, as all my plans are ideal. It was the moon's ill timing that robbed me of perfection. Then we get the cliffs of insanity! I know there's no way I'll ever get that. I would ever be able to say that line properly, but, well, as I don't remember the actor's name, but I mean, legitimately, how is that casting not perfect? All of them. Um, Now remember, it is at night. And he's also, again, musing about how he gave himself about an hour leeway for how he predicts people will be reacting. It's like that probably cost us only about 10 minutes. So we're still 50 minutes ahead of where we need to be, that we'd be in danger. So we're all good. We are miles ahead of anybody and safe, safe, safe. No one could be following us yet? The Spaniard asked. No one. It would be inconceivable. Absolutely inconceivable. Absolutely, totally, in all other ways inconceivable. Why do you ask? Which we don't get. I mean, it's just in all the ways inconceivable. The Sicilian reassured him. Why do you ask? So, in the writing, yes, we do kind of get that beat, but in the movie, how it's actually in the whole totally inconceivable. Why do you ask? That extra motion is nice, and it is one of those things where yes, movies can be better, or film can be better than books. In some cases, books can be better than film as well. Oh, it depends, because if you were to add in that, describing that motion, it kind of, it goes off from the momentum then that you've built up here, because it's, the Sicilian reassured him, and then it's why do you ask? Which, if you want to analyze that even more, it's reassured him, but then it's like, why do you ask? Like, okay, I've reassured you, but wait a minute. Now I need to be reassured. It's like, uh-oh, this isn't a good situation, is it? No reason. It's only that I just happened to look back and something's there. They all whirled. And this is where they see, that the boat is black, the sail is black, the man is black, everything there is black. So he must have been prepared. He must just be some local fisherman out for a pleasure cruise alone at night through shark-infested waters. So that line is also in here as well. Oh yeah, that's Inigo saying it, which there's probably more logical explanation. But since no one in no one in Gilder could yet know what we've done, and no one in Florida could have gone here so quickly. He is definitely not following us. However much may look like it following us, it is coincidence and nothing more. He is gaining on us, the Turk said. That is also inconceivable. Before I stole the boat we're in, I made inquiries as to what was the fastest ship on all the Florin Channel, and everyone agreed it was this one. You're right, the Turk agreed, staring back. He isn't gaining on us. He's just getting closer, that's all. I'm kind of glad they cut that out because, I mean, I get that he's not supposed to be that bright, but I don't think that he should be that dumb. Do get a little bit more here about Buttercup is, whilst frightened of these three men, she does, for whatever reason, she doesn't know why, more scared by him, by the man in black. She doesn't know it was Wesley, but, I mean, in a way, even if she knew it was Wesley, could still be afraid. Yeah, I mean, it's like, because on the one hand, she would know he would never harm her, and he would rescue her. I do think that's very fair to say. It's like, this would be almost a Guinevere and Lancelot setup without what ultimately happens towards the end of that. In that Guinevere would know for a fact Lancelot will literally move mountains. Right? If he needs to get out and start digging with the shovel, he will do that to rescue her. Even though he cannot actually have her, despite the love that they have for each other, that is Arthur's wife. Except that times they do get that. That's a different story, though. But it still would be if she were aware, I could still see it being she would, because she can't get out of the situation now and how she did lose faith, she could see herself as unworthy of him and feeling that she has betrayed him and that he would be angry with her. Which we will find out how accurate that is or not later on. Okay. Did I mention nothing about the rhyming? Fezzik isn't telling rhymes anymore. Annoying Vizzini, which I'm just trying to think. being in the movie helps for two reasons. One is it does give something that annoys Vizzini, so it helps be kind of funny, and it's a way specifically for Fezzik to do it, because he is supposed to be the not as intelligent. He is intelligent, but not as intelligent. So how can he stand up to Vizzini? Because it's also not just going to haul off and hit him, right? In fact, there's even a line later on. He was actually quite happy because it was only when he was requested to use his might, this is Fezzik, that he felt he wasn't a bother to everybody. So it is nice, and Andre the Giant does convey that, I feel, in the movie. It is nice, therefore, in the movie to have that thing that does annoy Vizzini, especially with Inigo encouraging him. That it is one of the ways, and there's others in the movie as well, just how they talk to each other without that. But it does reinforce that no, these two do know each other. They are friends. Like Vizzini is part of this group, but isn't necessarily the friend there. So, but it isn't so necessary here because there is a lot more talking between them and stuff. And also, you can't have the narrator just mentioning things about their past. Yeah, it is kind of funny, the whole Vizzini being confident that this boat fast, but it's also a little questionable when you think about it. In as far as his plan isn't that good. If he relied on a stolen boat, that means somebody's boat was stolen. And it's like, oh well, there's this weird Sicilian guy with a hunchback and a short leg who's asking about that boat, and now it's gone. He must have taken it. Well, Sicilian isn't Gilder, isn't from Gilder. So if you then are like, oh well, that must be the boat that she was kidnapped on, they would know then that either it's not Gilder or Gilder had to hire this guy, which would then lead to the question of, okay, how does a Gilder uniform suggest that Gilder did it? So it actually is a problem with the plan. That he is, even right there, we're already exposing he's not as intelligent as he thinks he is. But he does have this continued obsession that, no, his plans are perfect. So, yeah. So we get to the whole them climbing up and... Yeah, fast now, the Sicilian order as they're climbing up. If he is following us, which of course is not within the realm of human experience, but if he is, we've got to reach the top and cut the rope off before he can climb after us. Yeah, he then also orders Fezzik to sink the boat, which, how he does that is... Yeah, he just stomps the bottom of the boat so it breaks, and it's like, that's actually pretty impressive. Now I'm actually thinking, how hard would that be? Because it's not just like, oh, he's breaking a board that's sitting there. No, he's breaking a board, or multiple boards, that have the weight of the boat pressing up. So I think that would actually be harder, because it's like, you'd have all that. I mean, true, it's just pounds per square inch still, instead of like the full weight of the boat at that one point. But it still is. You're not just, if it's a 2x4, you're not just trying to break through that. You are breaking through a greater force than just a 2x4 would have. So that, yeah. He is a giant and is decidedly strong. It also does mention that it's his arms that he's most proud of, that basically if you gave him an axe and told him to cut down a forest, his legs may give out from carrying his weight, and potentially maybe the trees, I'm not sure, and the axe may give out before his arms would. The next day his arms would be perfectly fine. So him climbing up like that, it's like, nah, that's easy. He's happy to do it. So I'm just trying to... Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to get to, because it's during the climb, it's not at the top, it's during the climb that Inigo says, I don't think that word means what you think it means. And I just wanted to find where that was, because Wesley hasn't yet gotten his boat to where he can start climbing up the rope. But this is still troubling Vizzini, and so he starts yelling faster. Thought I was going faster. Lazy, lazy. I'll never improve, says Fezzik, but his arms still began to go faster. Yeah, I think it is that Vizzini did look down to see that the boat was getting near, but it is then Inigo who's like actually looking down and giving updates. A little over, I should think. Oh, wait. So could you tell me, please, if we're halfway yet? This is Fezzik asking. A little over, I should think. You're doing wonderfully, Fezzik. Thank you. And he's closing on the cliffs. The Spaniard. So again, we do have that whole Inigo and Fezzik are friends. Yeah. He'll never catch up after he's jumped onto the boat. The Sicilian cried, "Inconceivable! You keep using that word," the Spaniard snapped. "I don't think it means what you think it means. So what you think it does. How fast do you climb at? So it's still the climbing there. Yeah. So they do reach the top first, but it's still, he's only 300 feet behind them. So in the time it takes them to go 1,000 feet, he goes 700. That is impressive. Just to be clear, that is impressive. But it's not done yet. This is actually the description in the book of how he continues to climb is a lot more badass than what's in the movie. Okay, and I'll get to that. So they get up there. Vizzini unties the rope so it falls down. There is no rope for him to climb up with. The Sicilian was roaring now, and he kept at it until the Spaniard, because the rope has just gone down. So he's like, yeah. Until the Spaniard said he did it. Did what? Hunchback came scurrying to the cliff edge. Release the rope in time, the Spaniard said. See? He pointed down. The man in black was hanging in space, clinging to the sheer rock face 700 feet above the water. The Sicilian watched fascinated. You know, since I've made a study of death and dying and am a great expert, it interests you to know that he'll be dead long before he hits the water. The fall will do it, not the crash. No. But, I mean, in theory, it's if you are falling and you are afraid of falling, that you could have a heart attack on the way down. That's possible. But just the idea that falling would kill you, no. No, but also to be fair, Vizzini hates heights. He's afraid of heights. That is stated earlier. It's only by his basic mastery of his own mind that he was able to look down. He hated it, but he can't. He is able to do that. But it is, for him, such a fall may kill him on the way down, rather than at the crash. Yeah, the man in, and I gotta read this because Vizzini is sick. And it's like this is further confirmation, not combination, confirmation that he is evil. The man in black dangled helpless in space, clinging to the cliffs with both hands. How rude we're being. Oh, how rude we're being, the Sicilian said then, turning to Buttercup. I'm sure you'd like to watch. He went to her and brought her, still tied hand and foot, so that she could watch the final pathetic struggle of the man in black 300 feet below. Buttercup closed her eyes, turned away. Shouldn't we be going yet? The Spaniard asked. I thought you were telling us how important time was. It is, but I just can't miss a death like this. I could stage one of these every week and sell tickets. I could get out of the assassination business entirely. Look at him. Do you think his life is passing before his eyes? That's what the book says. He has very strong arms, Fezzik commented, to hold on this so long. Can't hold on much longer, the Sicilian said. He has to fall soon. It was at this moment that the man in black began to climb. Not quickly, of course, and not without great effort, but still, there was no doubt that he was, in spite of the sheerness of the cliffs, heading in an upward direction. Inconceivable! The Sicilian cried. Now we get the Spaniard whirled at him. Stop saying that word! It was inconceivable. So this is more of a blow-up that we don't get in the movie. It was inconceivable that anyone could follow us, but when we looked behind, there was the man in black. It was inconceivable that anyone could sail as fast as we could sail, and yet he gained on us. Now this too is inconceivable, but look, see how he rises. So then we have the whole, they have to split up, but it's like we have to kill him. Yeah, and again we get, but before that we do get the whole Vizzini's like, no, I can't be wrong. And the fact is that the man in black is not following us. A more logical explanation would be that he is simply an ordinary sailor who dabbles in mountain climbing as a hobby. He happens to have the same general final destination as we do. I'm adding the uncertainty here. I doubt he'd be saying it. That certainly satisfies me, and I hope it satisfies you. In any case, we cannot take the risk of his seeing us with the princess, and therefore one of us must kill him. Shall I do it? Asked Fezzik, but it's like, no, you have to carry her, so it's Inigo that has to. So yeah, at this point it's practically the end of it. But I gotta tell you how. Okay, yeah. How is it that Wesley is climbing? Because Inigo actually does look down and is wondering, and it even describes that he is a smart man. The thing is, he is not necessarily quick to learn, so he has to study. So he is staring and watching, and he also notices, oh, he's wearing a black mask, so it's basically just his features coming through. Excuse me. But is looking down, and eventually he realizes, I don't know what these things are called, but there is actually a real piece of climbing equipment. That's not what he's using. Wesley, the man black, is making fists and just jamming them into crevices in the cliff face. Okay, so let me be clear. He wouldn't be doing quite like that. It's not like, fist and he's going. No, he'd have to be going like this and then making a fist inside. Because when you do that, notice it at the knuckles at least, it does spread out, right? So he's doing that, right? And is just climbing, doing that. Sometimes his legs, there's a hold for his legs, but no, he's just squeezing and climbing like that. And there is something, I don't know what it's called. It looks like it's a ratcheting device. It has multiple pieces to it, two main ones though, that are both like quarter circles. And they, when they're closed together, would just be in like 1/4 circle. But when you put them in, you can then have them ratchet out so they take up more space. And it also, the sides of it are, they have a indentation to it, like what you have on the outside of a dime or a quarter, to help it grab in. But because it opens up like that, it can't escape. And it's like, once that is what's described, it's like, oh, because I've seen these pictures of things and I've seen them function in television, I think. That's what he's doing. It's like, okay, this is really impressive. All right, this is way more impressive than what's in the movie. Because it's not just say, oh, yeah, I'm finding these spots. No, I have no handholds. I'm just the muscles of my fist. I'm forcing out enough to hold my weight and climb up. The only thing more impressive, but would cause problems, would be if it's no, I'm just punching in, breaking the cliff face, and using it as a handhold. That would be the only thing more impressive, but it also would be stupid, because that would put Wesley as a non-human. That would be superhuman. Fezzik is a giant. If he were to do that, I would believe it, because he is described as being a giant. Okay? Like earlier on, when at the Florin Museum, a handprint, a full-grown adult's hand would fit inside of his thumb. Okay, he's huge and very, very powerful. So him doing it, that's fine. Wesley is not that. So him punching it, no, can't do that. That is kind of dumb. But this, it's still real impressive. Yeah. And this would go to, and it's, yes, we don't know that it's Wesley yet. We do from the movie, but I hope that's not a spoiler for anyone. But this does also speak to his discipline as well. That he is so disciplined that he could think to do this and then actually be able to carry that, because that is going to hurt. I mean, just the upper body strength, like the strain on his arms and such to do this is already impressive. But then this on top of that, And it does make me wonder if before the duel starts, because in the movie it's say, no, you can take your time to rest. I want to know I beat you fair, is Inigo's point of view. And by the way, I did see a little bit when I was trying to find points where I could stop during the previous video. I did see that the whole right hand, left hand thing, left hand, right hand thing, does apparently also exist in the book. I am definitely looking forward to the duel for multiple reasons. That is part of it. But I do also kind of wonder then if there's something about letting his hands relax. Because I would think after doing that, I know my hands would be like, it's easier for me to do with my right hand than my left, but would be doing that because of the strain, how much strain I'd put them under. That stress would mean that no smooth motion for a while. They would need time to relax, and that could take quite a while. But then he goes to full on fencing. Yeah, that's it makes him a lot more impressive, but it can also just be again a statement of his own discipline. That he's able to, despite the pain and strain on his hands, still be able to wield a blade so efficiently, so competently. So I can probably wrap this up soon. I do just want to add, part of the reason why I'm looking forward to the duel, it's not just to see how close it is to the movie. It is also because part of the reason I wanted to read this, and if you've watched through previous videos, you would know this, is because the Obi-Wan, Anakin, Dooku fight at the start of Revenge of the Sith, I absolutely hate. I think that is horribly written for multiple reasons, and one of the key reasons is that it's throwing around fencing, sword fighting techniques, which, by the way, Attack of the Clones, remember, those same three have a fight at the end of that. We don't get into these names because they're not important. They're just jargon. They mean nothing to me. But it's still throwing them around in Revenge of the Sith. Attack of the Clones, no, just establish Dooku fences, the other two don't. And that's why he is able to dominate them actually quite comfortably. But anyway, in Revenge of the Sith, with all this stuff and other really stupid, don't do these cliches, okay? Really don't. That is being done there. It made me think of the duel here, because in The Princess Bride, in the movie, you have them fencing back and forth. And okay, so one of the cliches, and I do understand the practicality. Revenge of the Sith does it to a stupid level. Okay, seriously, don't do this. Where it makes sense that when you are first fighting somebody, when the fight starts, you are testing them out. You're not going full strength at them. You're not going full speed at them, not full force at them. And they're not doing the same to you because they want to test it out. Because if they overcommit, if they try, because like, oh yeah, this is great attack, and they do that, oh, that person has a counter and is able to come back. You want to do that, but you need to progress, and you need to still treat it seriously. Revenge of the Sith is like, no, we're not treating it seriously. Don't do that. That's really stupid. Everyone involved in both sides in that fight should be interested in killing the other, such that you don't. It's like you're testing each other, but you're progressing, you're building up, and you're not. In that, they literally have that Obi-Wan and Anakin are just playing around, not being as good as they are, and then once Dooku makes some comments like, "Oh, well, here now we'll do it. Now we'll stop, just playing as though we're not, playing around with this and actually fight." This is so stupid. Okay, this really is. Whereas in The Princess Bride, you have them going back and forth, and you also have them verbally testing each other. Like, the whole mentioning these fighting styles. But that is part of their testing each other, because it is a conversation. It's all part of that same, I'm trying to figure out what the other person knows. I'm trying to figure out where the advantages are, where the disadvantages are, so that I can sneak in and get there. Whereas in Revenge of the Sith, there is no, they're not talking about the fighting styles. It's just the narrator, and I don't care. I mean, I legitimately was reading that fight bored. So I am looking forward to how it is in the book, because in the movie, at least, it is much better. It makes sense why it's going back, why they're doing that, why they are testing each other, but it's not in a false way. They're not. This is the way to put it. The kind of testing, at least for how I interpret it in the movie, we'll see how it is in the book in the next video, that is a very respectful testing. You're not doubting the other's lethality. You're not doubting your own. It is respectful. It is legitimately I don't know how much a threat you are to me. I don't know how much a threat I am to you. I need to figure this out. I need to learn this. So you do this testing. In that, it was like, nah, it doesn't matter. We don't care. We're just going to play like we don't know what we're doing. Oh, then suddenly you say something, so now we're going to take it seriously. That is so stupid. And it's insulting. Right? That would be an insult to your opponent. It really would be. Because it's saying, I'm not taking you seriously. And you know what? That's also the moment when you're going to lose. I mean, legitimately, because your overconfidence means you're not paying attention to their strengths and you're not paying attention to your weaknesses. I hate that. It should not be done as a cliche. Okay? The only exception I can think of is if you know you're immortal. If you know there's somehow no means by which they can kill you, which really should be you're immortal. Not even I have a shield, so you can't possibly kill me, because maybe that shield fails. Maybe they can figure that out. Right? But if it's just a straight up, now I'm immortal. Like, if you're fencing Superman, okay, that makes sense. That's fair. He can take you not seriously because you will never be a threat to him. Unless, of course, you pull out kryptonite. Now he's in trouble. But, yeah, it's just... I'm sorry, I really, really hate that fight in Revenge. There's a lot of Revenge that I hate. But thus far, I do not hate this book. I am really enjoying it. I legitimately, the only criticism I would have, the true legitimate criticism I would have, is don't read the 30th and 25th anniversary introductions before getting to the book. Just go straight into The Princess Bride, which is basically its introduction. I labeled it Chapter 0. Go straight into that, and just read from there. You can come back to the 30th and 25th later, especially the 25th. Maybe wait on the 30th until you get to Buttercup's baby. That's added at the end, because it does make references to it. But, yeah, just... Yeah. Sorry, I want to end on a happy note. I am enjoying it. I am looking forward to the next part with the duel and seeing how some of that goes. Also, getting to know more about Inigo, because this is... like, Domingo Montoya made swords is like the first line of the first new paragraph on the second page of what I'm going to be doing here. So we are talking about his father. We are going to get more background here, very likely. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Oh, yes. There's also... we now have his sword referred to as the Six-Finger Sword, which we know from the movie. That's Rugen. Rugen is a six-fingered man. This has not been mentioned yet, though. We don't know that that's who it is, which makes sense. As far as not wanting to show that, but it still is, Rugen has been present enough up to this point. Is curious that this hasn't been mentioned. And I just want to see, where am I going to? 143. So I got about 33 pages that I'll be reading for. Okay, wow. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I see. Wow. Like 20 of those pages are just gonna be the history, it seems, because I'm at 132 here, and he's still climbing. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that the duel does live up to what I want for it to be. And also just continuing with the whole criticism of Revenge of the Sith, because, again, if you watch those videos, you know I do go at it. Well, actually, even in Attack of the Clones, I go at the whole Palpatine's plan is really bad. He's not really a good mastermind, because the plan is dependent on so many variables well outside of his control. But once I started thinking about the Princess Bride in Revenge of the Sith, I realized Humberdinck is potentially a greater mastermind, because he masterminded all this plan, not Vizzini. Vizzini may be carrying out some specific details that those are his. But Humberdinck figured out most of it, and his plan is simpler, and it does keep him in control of the variables quite effectively, and I want to see that confirmed. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll turn out that he's not actually that good in here. I don't know. In the movie, though, he does seem to be a better mastermind than Palpatine. Really want that to be true, because I want to be able to say that. And just, if anyone is like, no, I'll just go, read the books, like, read that, and seriously think about what all has to go right for Palpatine's plan, and then read this, or watch a movie and be like, what has to go right for his plan to succeed? And you realize, ultimately what has to go right is just the marriage, which he kind of forces, at least in the movie, and then he just needs to be able to plunge a knife into her. That's very simple, very little to go wrong there, unless somebody breaks into the castle. And why would anyone think that's going to happen? Especially when you kill Wesley. I mean, it's such a better play. Such a better play. See you next time.